Please be seated. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai Roi Lo Echsar. V'intosha Yarbitzeni, Almei Minuchot Yinachaleni. Nafshi Yishovev, Yancheni, B'maglei Tzedek, L'man Shemo. Ki Elech, B'geit Salmavet Lo Ira Ram, Ki Atai Madi. Shiftecha, Mishantecha, Hema Yinachamuni. Taroch Lefanai Shulchan Neged Zorarai. Dishanta Vashem en Roshi, Kosi Rivayal. Ach tov v'chesed yudefuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'veit Adonai la'orech yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yes, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runs over. Eshet chayil mi yimtza, v'rachok mikninim michra, betach ba'alei ba'ala, v'shalal lo yachsar, g'malat chuto v'lo ra, kol yemei chayecha. What a precious find is an Eshet chayil, a woman of valor. She opens her hands to the needy and extends her hand to the poor. She is clothed with strength and splendor. She looks to the future cheerfully. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Her tongue is guided by kindness. She oversees the activities of her household and never eats the bread of idleness. Her children come forward and bless her. Her husband praises her. Wherever people gather, her deeds speak her praise. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avot declares, Ezehu mechubad, hamechabed et habriot. Who is honored? One who honors, loves, and cares for other human beings. At this time, we'll have members of the family come and pay their respects. Sal?
No time. Before I begin, I would like to thank my daughters, Eileen, Rochelle, and Gloria, for the help you provided in caring for your mother during her illness. Your loving care of her and the support you gave me during these last months were truly exceptional and a testament of how much you loved and adored your mother. Gloria was with me at the most stressful time when Marion took her last breath. I want to mention Gloria was there so much of the time when we first discovered her Marion's illness and traveling to different doctors to see what we can do. Marion and I planned to be buried at the National Cemetery because I was a veteran, and I would figure, oh, take advantage of the society and give you some free plots, you know. At the last minute, when we're making the arrangements, we discovered they don't have a traditional burial. You can't be at this gravesite. And what do? My daughter Gloria sprang to immediately called Rabbi Bell, called Rabbi Gantz, and we were able to secure a beautiful site in this particular cemetery. So that, Gloria, I am so grateful for your support in these very difficult times. So I put together the obituary. Gloria's got information to Matt, who put it in the paper, so here we are today. And we planned this Shiva. She coordinated this information to Matt, as I said, director of Temple Bethel, and I could not have done without you, Gloria. You were there when I needed you the most, and there's no words I can express my gratitude. This is not a time for tears. Marion, like her mother, one of the of blessed memory, Rose, wanted a celebration of her life, and that's why we're here today. So I want to share some of the things about Marion that you may not know, and so let me begin. Please forgive me if I am out of order of the sequences of things that happened, because these are just the flow of thoughts that I came and I wrote down as I thought about them for days and days. There's so many wonderful stories. I could be here for hours talking about, we were married for 64 years, and in that time we had so many adventures. Marion was amazing. Every day I didn't know what was going to happen. It was just, but it was wonderful. As I heard Reverend Susan Bell say, Marion was a force of nature, and God had imbued her special talents and special loves for people. Marion really would be delighted to be standing here and see how much you loved her by your attendance today. She loved you all, every one of you. I didn't think she didn't care about anybody. There were a few people that she didn't like, but those people that she didn't like, she didn't contact them, so she stayed away from them. That's what she did. And I want to thank, we have Zoom here working? Oh, good. And I want to thank the people here who are watching on Zoom. I believe, let me tell you how I met Marion, just by fluke that we have a family we have. I used to be involved with AZA. I was an Alpha Gadol, president of the AZA at a young age from 12 to 18. And then I went into service, and got out, started dating a lot of girls, a lot of makeup. I didn't know who they were, but I kept dating girls, looking for the right, shidduch. And one time, a friend of mine who became the other Alpha Gadol of our club, Stan Shore, says, Sal, come to a synagogue in Logan. We're going to meet girls, and we've got to get together with young couples, guys. I said, Stan, I'm not interested in that. He said, come on, Sal, you got to come. Stan, I don't want to come. He said, look, come this one time. If you don't want to come again, don't come. Now think about this. I went there, and I saw Marion. I'm going to cry because she was the prettiest girl. Gorgeous. No makeup. She didn't need it. It was just beautiful. And fortunately, I was blessed with my wife for over 64 years. So I met my soulmate. We did everything together. It's funny, we didn't plan things. They just happened to unfold in front of us, but we always worked together in the same way, the same pattern, We worked together to achieve our goals, whether it was a family situation or it was social community projects for the synagogues or whatever. Two souls joined together to create one soul. People will sometimes hear Mary admonish me, don't eat that, you're eating too much of this, don't. Now, she wasn't controlling, not then, but she had a way with her. But she loved me so much. She wanted to keep me healthy so I can do the dishes and wash the floor. A good wife who can find. She is more precious than corals. The heart rising trust in her, and there's no lack of gain. I would read this every Shabbat to Marion because she deserved the praise and was well worth it. And she would read to me, Happy as a Man, because she honored me. She created an excellent Jewish home environment, and she was willing to share with many family and friends. Marion always opened her home for Shabbat and for the high holidays. She had a boundless capacity to love and befriend so many people through her life. She always put herself last when somebody needed something, would never say no. She didn't know the word no. There was no in her vocabulary, except to me sometimes. She had tremendous work ethic. Wherever she worked, people praised her and wrote letters of praise how well she did her job. She was a travel agent, loved to travel. We had some great trips to Israel many times, 4 times. She volunteered twice to serve on different Army bases for the Sorel program. I don't know if you know what that is. You volunteer, you go to Israel, you're on a base for 3 weeks, they take you around, but we were there with good friends of ours, Tony Gaida and Annette Gaida and some other friends. But and the last time she went, she had a broken ankle, and she still went. Okay, she had a devotion for Israel. She held the position of auxiliary president of the Jewish War Veterans Post 691 of Long Island. I was the commander, she was the auxiliary president. She was the president of Sisterhood of Bethpage Jewish Community Center of Long Island, very involved in all aspects of the synagogue. She was president of PTA of Academy of Nassau County, Hebrew Academy. She was PTA president of the Solomon Schechter Day School of Long Island. She was an excellent leader and inspired those who worked with her. She had an exceptional memory, recalling names and dates, people, and it was amazing, an occurrence. You ask her when this happened, she would tell you the exact date and time almost. She loved the cryptograms. She would carry that book wherever she went. If we had to go to the doctor's office, a dentist's office, if we're waiting for food to come, she would be doing her cryptograms. I don't know how she did it, but they were very complicated, and she had a mind for that. She created great works out of fabric, so when you come to the house for Shiva, I hope you'll come, you'll see some of the work that she did, that she created. She loved to crochet. She had made beautiful blankets. She used to knit, but her hands become too hard for knitting, so she stopped that. She loved to go camping in our Cox pop-up camper with her daughters. She planned trips that either had beautiful sights to see or exciting attractions like restoration villages, or we went to companies that made cups, ceramics. We went to Bologna factory. We went to a factory that produced rolls for player pianos. We went to Corning factory, how do you make Corning ware? She always expanded their horizon, so wherever we went. She loved theater. She hated comics. But she loved theater, musical, drama. She was a volunteer at the Century Village ushers for over 15 years. We both were ushers together. She loved to greet the people. She loved to seat them. She loved the people who she worked with. That was Marion. Movies, TV, her favorite programs were the following: Let's Make a Deal, The Price is Right, The Wheel of Fortune, and Jeopardy. She also loved to watch Hallmark movies, The Final Kiss. One of the favorite things that she liked to do, we all like to do, was go to the Catskill Mountains. Well, my daughter Rochelle has 53 acres and has cabins up there. Has dogs and sheep, cats and dogs. So she would help make clean the cabins, make the beds, and wash the laundry. But her favorite of all things, she loved the chickens. She knew all the different varieties. She bought every different kind of variety of chicken there were, and she would take care of them like she was the big chicken. She was in charge of them, and she loved to see them hatch. You know, it was the most amazing thing how chickens take care of the little ones. They would go along and scratch, and the other little chickens would come in behind them and scratch and do the same thing. She loved that. To those who sent messages of condolences, I want to thank you very much. And the words of happiness and things remember about Marion, I share those deeply with you. I want to thank Rabbi for his words. And I want to thank all my family and friends coming from far and near to be here with us today. I thank you.
Eileen?
Well, my father said a lot, and probably a lot that you already know. Those of you that know my mom, I think Dad described her very well with some extra stories that you might not have heard, but they all represent our beautiful mom. I just want to say a few words. Dad really covered so much. To my beautiful mother who tirelessly gave so much of herself to us and others. I'm very blessed to have had my mom for all these years. She died too soon, but we still had her for a very long time, very actively, very involved in our lives. A mother who gave me two wonderful sisters who worked selflessly and tirelessly in my mother's image to help her heal, along with my dad, with consistent love and care. Thank you both. As I mature in my life, I notice more clearly all the wonderful, helpful, and brilliant things my mother taught me. You know, when we're young and our mother tells us things, we don't really listen. But once we have our own children, we really see the depth of the wisdom that she has gotten from her parents and passed it down to us. She was always, because she had a brilliant and curious mind, and she was always thinking of ways to help others, she imparted a myriad of vast knowledge, especially in the areas of ethics, health, Judaism. Her friendships were amazing, and especially and her logic. She was always logical. She took the emotion out, and she always gave amazing advice. Like going to Italy on my honeymoon. She did tell me that. I asked her a couple of weeks ago. She was just always looking out for us, and I can tell a lot of different stories, but I know my sisters want to speak also, and I want to leave some for them to share. But I'll leave you with one story that when I was pregnant with Josh, I was like 6 months pregnant, and you were like at the very end of being able to travel. And I said to her, Mom, I'm going to be, and I nursed my babies a long time. I said, I'm not going to be able to travel. And I was just kind of complaining a little bit, and she says, okay, she called me back, and she says, I just got an investment check in the mail I didn't expect, and I booked us a trip for 6 days to go to Costa del Sol, Spain, and I was really excited, but I ended up being sick, and I had like sciatica, and I was sick, and she says, okay. I said, I don't think I can go. Okay, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. She told me what to do with the sciatica. She told me what to take for my cold. I had enough energy to go buy clothes because I had nothing nice to wear. Ran around in stores, and it was like everything just worked like clockwork. As long as you listened to her advice, you were on a good path. So thank you, Mom. And that's what I'm going to miss most, is being able to ask for her advice.
Michelle?
To me, my mom was the ultimate mom. She was both a mama bear and a mother hen wrapped up in one. She would have done anything for her girls, and I mean anything, and we all knew it. She showed by example and taught me important life skills to accept and love people for who they are, and told me that if I couldn't, it was time to move on. I knew whatever she said, even when brutally honest, it was out of love. She taught me the skills I needed to navigate this world, take care of myself, a good work ethic, kindness and generosity to others, and to protect and defend my own family. She supported every one of my endeavors, driving over 16 hours to Pennsylvania to get sheep that I had to have. My mom was by my side when I was threatened by the sheriff's deputy to be arrested if I didn't leave the hospital grounds. As Mark was hospitalized during COVID, he had a bacterial lung infection, and I refused to leave the hospital until I can see him, as they promised me I could see him once they confirmed he didn't have COVID, which they confirmed, and then they confirmed again, and then they confirmed again before they finally let me see him. My mom would know and give me help when I needed it, sometimes even when I didn't want it or ask for it. She worked with me at my construction management and design business, meeting me all over the East Coast to babysit and care for Jonathan while I worked and attended on-site construction meetings. She was like a second mom to Jonathan. And my dad was like his dad. That was before Mark came around. Even when my dad was in the hospital after having open heart surgery and she had a broken foot, she came from New Jersey, picked up Jonathan and I up at the farm to take me to the doctor and later to her home, as I was told I needed to stay in bed for 2 months to let my back heal after falling and sliding down the stairs. Jonathan was still a baby and nursing at the time. I had not met Mark yet. She took care of everything for him and me while I rested and just brought him in to nurse and cuddle. She even protested with me in Albany for parental rights. Her help, support, and love was endless. She not only was a mother hen to me, shielding me with her strong wings during rainy times, but was a mother to so many others who wanted her love and needed it. They were all her little chickies, and she was proud of her brood. She put others before herself and was so selfless. My dear friend Linda, when her mom Sylvia passed away at over 101, said to me, "I can't believe she's gone. I thought she would live forever." And I said, "Does she really believe she's going to live forever?" Like, I thought that, and now I know she really did think that. She really did think that she was going to live forever. Because even as I laid with my mom, frail, and my arms were around her, and we told each other we loved each other, and she said I have to let her go. And I told her I would. And I told her I would. I really still believed that she would get all better and be back to her normal, energetic self. And I can't believe she's really gone. And I love you, Mom, and I'll miss you every single day. Yeah, Mark's gonna say his now since he's up here.
It's okay.
Thank you.
Marion was wise, adept, and knowledgeable about a wide array of subjects. Travel, home remedies, live chickens, sheep, dogs, and cats, where to shop, when to shop, cards, dominoes. I'm sure I'm missing a lot. She turned ordinary events into theater. It was the art of the return. And going out to a restaurant became a unique experience. How she ordered, you really felt for the chef or the waitress if they were not precise anyway. Perhaps there's a lesson in life for Marion to be learned here. Know what you want and be persistent in attaining it. She loved to be in Jeffersonville at the farm with Sal. Her absence makes things a little more challenging for us now. Marion would she would go to Costco or the supermarket for us, always call and say, what do you need? She would take care of the chickens, let them out in the morning, feed them, and put them away at night. Now, of course, we have to do that. We have to make our travel arrangements now. She used to take care of that for us. She did all that and more. She made the cabins for the guests, and now we do that, and it's certainly not as nice as it was when Marion did it. I'll miss her at the Friday night Shabbat meal. I'll miss seeing her float in Black Lake with Rochelle nearby and Leo nearby, also floating in the water. What a full life she had. She and Sal traveled the world. They raised their 3 amazing daughters in a Jewish home. So I'd say farewell to Marion and to a life well lived. And as my dad would used to say, he would say, good job, well done.
Gloria?
So before I start what I've written, you probably have heard things about my mother that you never really knew. The depth of the person that she was. She really did always put herself last. One story that I didn't write was when we were growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. Instead of my mother buying herself clothes, we got everything we needed first. It was always us first, no matter what it was. It wasn't until she was much older that she started treating herself. Chico's became one of her favorite stores, and she would shop, shop, shop. And it was amazing because she finally, after all of those years, put herself first. We were adults, and that was when she first started to put herself first. So, okay. So I know I'm not the first person to stand in this place grieving the loss of a parent. Many of you sitting here today and joining us on Zoom have been in the same shoes. But even knowing that, it still feels surreal, especially when I think about my mother. She was so full of life. There are people who exist and go through the motions of life, and people who live. She knew how to live, always on the go, never sick, never slowed down by anything. We truly believed we'd have her with us for many, many more years. But life doesn't always unfold the way we hope. And so, in this difficult time, we gathered to celebrate the life she did live and the remarkable woman who touched each of us in her own unique way. Before I share my own memories, I want to thank you all for the incredible outpouring of love. Over and over, we heard the same words used to describe her: vibrant, energetic, devoted to her family and friends. Thank you. She didn't always realize how deeply loved and special she was. I will tell you, while she was going through the illness, and people would call her, she would be so surprised at how much people cared about her. She's like, they really care? I said, yes, they really care. It was just, she never looked at herself in that way. During her illness, that love surrounded her. Friends called daily just to say, I love you. Elaine, Neil, Laura, so many people just to say I love you. And when she went to shul on Shabbat mornings, the warmth she received at Temple Beth El lifted her spirits in ways we couldn't have imagined. Your support meant the world to her and to us. My mom was a constant presence. Honestly, it still feels like she's just in the next room busy with something. She was always there when we needed her. She never said no to her daughters, not to spoil us, but to stand by us when life got hard, to help us through the challenges that we faced. She and my dad were always there, ready to help, no matter what. So even in this loss, I feel incredibly lucky. Lucky that I had her well into adulthood. Lucky that when I worked in Europe, we traveled together from Paris down to the south of France and Monaco, exploring Dijon, Lyon, and many other cities along our path. Lucky that she and my dad met me in Europe after my MBA, and we explored Austria, Germany, and Switzerland by Euro. Lucky that she joined me in Greece for my 30th birthday, and we traveled to Israel. I haven't cried this whole time, and now it's lucky that she and my dad visit us in Virginia twice a year, on their way down to Florida in the winter and on their way back up in the summer. Lucky that she loved animals so much that when Paul and I would go on vacation, she'd drive from Jersey to Virginia with Jonathan just to care for our dogs. She called it Bubby Camp, and it became a cherished tradition. Lucky that when Paul moved to Wyoming for work, they took our dogs again so that Paul and I could travel cross country. Lucky that when I needed to bring the dogs to Paul in Wyoming, along with a car and trailer full of stuff, she suggested, as she always did, that they join me for a cross-country trip, and of course she turned it into a Midwestern adventure for my dad and her. Yellowstone, Mount Rushmore. She never missed a chance to explore. Lucky that when I moved to Florida 4 years ago, I got to spend Shabbat and so many weekends with her and my dad. Lucky that she and my dad stayed in Florida longer each year, spending the high holidays with me, splitting our time between Temple Bethel and Chabad of West Palm Beach. Lucky to be raised by a woman who instilled Jewish values, taught us about service, giving, opening your home to others, responsibility towards family and community, and shared life lessons like have round shoulders to let things roll off your back. Lucky to be raised by someone who found joy in simple things. A turkey feather, the birds at Wakotahatchee, the light rings and tchotchkes that you get from bar and bat mitzvahs, wearing costumes for Purim. So many little things that just, she got enjoyment and, from, she didn't need fancy things. She just enjoyed life and every day, and it was all a gift and a blessing for her. Lucky that when she traveled with all of us, Eileen, her kids, Jonathan, to Israel when my nephew completed his IDF training. We revisited favorite spots and discovered new ones. Lucky that just last year, before she got sick, my dad, Paul, and I took a cruise in Europe and extended our trip, spending days wandering through Venice, Rome, Prague, and Nuremberg. She walked every city with joy and curiosity, but now my luck has run out. She was always go, 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 and her get up and go got up and went. She was quick to smile, quick to laugh. She always put her husband and children first, except maybe when it came to Twizzlers and peanut M&Ms. She was my rock. Through every challenge, she stood by me, never judged, always supported. She and my father shaped the person I am today, and for that, I will always be grateful.
Are we set up for Helen?
Yeah, Chris has it. Chris is working on it.
Now we'll hear from Gloria, Marion's sister Helen via Zoom.
Hello. I'm out here in San Jose, but I definitely am there with you. And my son Aaron is there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So after Marion got married, we didn't live together and our families are separate. However, we always felt welcomed and encouraged to visit with Marion and Saul's, and frequently did and got together for family events and weddings and bat mitzvahs mostly. And anyway, I'm Marion's sister, younger by 3 years. And Marion was a beautiful person, down to her fingers, always doing something and making beautiful things. Starting with that 64-year marriage that she made with Saul and the 3 beautiful offspring, and down to those collages he mentioned that are on the walls at West Palm Beach. When we went to visit, we always had a good time. Marion's very generous and hospitable. We have good food and then we play games. My favorite part. And if I didn't know the game, Marion was a great teacher and she would tell me the rules, how to play Mexican Train. And then she would go a step further and tell me how to win, which is better than just how to play. And then when we played, she beat the pants off of us, which was great. Anyway, so everyone has said most of the things I wanted to say. I just wanted to be here. We wanted to pay our respects. We wanted to express our admiration and mostly our love. And Marion will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Sending kisses.
Thank you, Helen. That was beautiful. I'm Penny, and I'm the youngest of the sisters, the youngest daughter of Rose and the youngest sister of Marion. So I'm going to start earlier than a lot of people started because Marion was just about 6 years old when I was born. Our mother often said what a big help she was when I was a baby. She was always my big sister, and in many ways, my second mother. She was the in-charge sister of me and Helen. So it started young. When our parents went out for an occasional evening out to go to the movies, Marion was in charge of us. That afternoon, my mother would give us each, and I'm serious, maybe 20 cents to go to the penny candy store, maybe only 10 cents, and we would each buy our choice of candy. We'd bring it back, we'd be ready to, well, we didn't have a TV then, I don't think, but we'd listen to the radio, but we'd have our candy and we would sort through it and we would divide it up. And Marion would always oversee, make sure everything was even, and she was in charge of us. When, let me just get this here. I'm having a little trouble here with my technology, so I'm going to use my papers. When my mother was home from work late, my mother was a single mother since I was 9 years old, and Marion was 15. When my mother might be late for work, Marion was in charge of making sure we had dinner. And she'd put out the dinner, and I remember one night very clearly, there was broccoli, and I thought, I'm not eating that, I don't like that. And she said, yes, you do like broccoli, now eat it. And you know what? I believed her and I ate the broccoli. And to this day, I actually do like broccoli, so I guess she was right. She was actually right in what she was saying. Marion always, as I say, was a take charge kind of person. She was smart, she was clever, she enjoyed working with her hands, she crocheted, she knit, she did a lot of things that my mother had taught her. And she was very clever with her handiwork, as other people have said. When Marion was a student, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit. Marion also liked mechanical things. She was very clever with her hands, not just with handiwork, but I think doing things around the house and fixing things and whatnot. And she had an interest in cars. Well, we had a cousin, Sammy, who had an old, wasn't old then, but he had a gas station and a car lot with just a few used cars, and she was very interested. And he said, well, Marion, when you're 16, come to me and I'll give you a car. It's going to need to be fixed up, but it'll be your car. Well, she reminded Sammy, and she got her car. And at the time, she was going to Dobbins Votech High School to study to be a dental assistant. And she took the car to the garage because, of course, they had a car mechanics program there, and they were thrilled. They had this great 1949 blue Plymouth to work on. They worked on it, they fixed it up, and she was the proud owner of a new car. She had wheels, and she was so thrilled. Our mother raised us to be strong and independent women. Marion was the first of us to display these traits. When she was in high school, still in high school, she worked for Dr. Myman in Philadelphia at Broad and Olney as a sort of learning to be a dental assistant. She had a very meager paycheck, but when it came home, I know that she gave it to my mother. It wasn't something that was like common knowledge, like, oh, where's the check? She just contributed to the family. That's the way she was. My mother, this is about Saul now. When Marion met Saul, our family was like all abuzz. Oh, he's coming for dinner, he's coming for dinner. We had met him a few times, but now he was coming for dinner. And my mother was not a culinary expert, believe me. She was far from it. Am I right? In fact, I think she served spaghetti and meatballs that night. Just something, an ordinary, everyday meal. But we were just so excited that Saul was coming. My mother was very nervous, but all I thought about was how exciting it was that I would finally have a big brother, because it looked like it was pretty serious. I always wanted a big brother, and that Saul was going to be part of our family. And Saul was just so warm and smart and handsome, and I just like, you know, I'm 12 years old, I was like so excited and so thrilled, always so nice to me, and to everyone, really. They got married. I was a bridesmaid. I remember I had my first pair of shoes that weren't totally flat. There was a tiny little heel. Marion said, "You can wear those, it's fine." And it was a beautiful, magical wedding, just wonderful. And so began a new chapter in my sister's life. This chapter continued for 64 years, 3 daughters, several homes, worldwide travel, life experiences that they shared together. And as Saul said, soulmates. I mean, they were just like this, just like that, so close. She was my oldest sister, my take-charge sister. She was creative and talented with her handiwork, her cooking skills, organizational attributes and abilities. And sometimes, when I look at my own reflection in the mirror, I see the first hint of a smile, or a frown, or a sparkle in my eye, and it's she who's with me even now. May she rest in peace. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Daniel? Jonathan?
I haven't got to blow my nose, so I'm going to blow my nose. Okay. There is no woman like my Bubby. In Judaism, we speak of Ashes Chayil, the woman of valor. She is the foundation of the home, the one who brings in the light, the warmth, and the guidance. And my Bubby embodies this. She truly, truly does. She tended to her household with strength and love. She helped her children grow, and she taught all of us right from wrong, not only through words, but through the way she lived. I was so fortunate growing up. I was around her and my Zeta at an early age. They took care of me when my mom was on business. She took me to camp. She even lied to me once. White lies saying, "We're not going to camp." I was faking being sick or whatever it might be, and she took me right to camp and she says, "We paid for it and you're going." Taking me shopping for clothes and shoes, and anyone who knows my grandmother knows the trouble caused in that. She made a habit of making sure I had eaten, and if I hadn't, she had something ready for me. She loved to remind me, "Yoni, you're a growing boy." So many times I thought I knew better, and I fought her. And the truth is, she always wanted what was best for me and for her whole family and her friends. The Torah teaches us that the Torah is a tree of life. My Bubby lived by this tree. She rooted her life in Jewish values, kindness, hospitality, resilience, and deep devotion to family and community. She gave to others, and she cared for her animals, for her chickens, and she was well respected and loved by Jews and non-Jews alike. We will miss you so, so much. I will miss you so, so much. And I know this last year was so hard for you, and you lost so much. And I take a lot of comfort in knowing that you will return to Hashem, carried by your many mitzvahs and your good deeds performed in this world. Thank you all for coming here and being here for my Bubby. Love you so much.
When parents who have taught their children pass on, that passing is not a death. As long as the child lives, there is a part of the parent that cannot die. When alive, a parent rejoices with children. In death, that parent will not grieve. So as you see here today, we're not saying goodbye to Marion. We're here to celebrate Marion's life. And I promise I will never eat a chicken again. Memories are not only a look back, but an opportunity to look forward, to recall a life, take what we learned from that person, from Marion, and to become better people, better to make ourselves into better people. I remember the first time that Marion and Sal came into the synagogue, and we still had the office in the chapel. We hadn't moved over yet. And here comes Marion and Sal. I think they were there about 4 or 5 hours, but it was fun. I was going to say interesting. It was fun. It was good. You know, the energy that they both had in joining a new synagogue, and the energy that they exuded in what they were going to be doing for the synagogue. In the office at the time, there was myself and Tisha, and we just kept reveling in what was going to be the future. And you know what? I didn't know that my wife had said this, that Marion was a real force, but Marion was a real force. Like when they came in and they wanted to participate, they wanted to volunteer. So for any of you out there from the synagogue, this is not a commercial that you should come in and volunteer, but I'm just saying about Marion and Sal. It was really a pleasure because you know what? They did it. Whatever they said they were going to do, they did. And I'm still wondering if Marion ever got that award as the honorary men's club president of Temple Bethel. Because it was a labor of love. It was a labor of love watching the two of them working together. And then there was the results. And it wasn't just the two of them. Then they brought in Rochelle and Gloria and Eileen, and they were, you know, and you all became part of the family. And this is where the real condolence comes in, that Gloria is part of the board now. So we thank you for that. But it was really just, wonderful, and they always came together. And in the last few months when Sal would come in by himself, you felt it in your heart that there was something missing from the office, from the synagogue. And the same thing on Shabbat mornings, when Sal, not that we don't love you, but that Sal was there alone. And, as so many of you have said, what Sal mentioned to me the other day was that if it weren't for Marion, that they wouldn't have had a real traditional Jewish home, that she was the one who made it such. And it went down from the decisions that they made to send their daughters to Hank. I always love saying Hank because I had so many friends who were at Hank. For those of you who are not from New York, Hank is the Hebrew Academy of Nassau County. They sent their daughters to Solomon Schechter, and of course Marion was the president of the PTA in both schools. But again, that's who Marion was. And there's a lot of times until the unfortunate part of this is, yes, it's a celebration of life, but we don't get a chance to learn about so much about people when we have the opportunity to just say thank you. Marion wasn't about playing a role. She wasn't playing the role of a strong Jewish woman. She was about teaching those values to her family and being an example of a strong Jewish woman to our congregation, to her family, and to her friends. It wasn't with Marion about the present, but the future and future generations, and making sure that her legacy lived on. For Marion was all about giving and giving back, being that example for her family and for all of us. And this is how a life of memories gives to a future. And what I'd like to say here to everyone, to Marion's family, if you continue to love the one you've lost, you never have lost the one you love. Is there anyone else who would like to say a few words? Why don't you come on up?
I would just like to say that we never mentioned Marion. It was always Marion and Saul, or Saul and Marion. They were always a couple. Once, I was invited many times to an Erev Shabbos dinner, and I had to call Marion and say, Marion, I can't come. And she said, why? I said, well, my baby sister is coming, and bring her. So I went. Well, as I looked around the table, we were 6 widows, and Marion and Saul. And they were so happy we all came. They said it was so Freilach, Erev Shabbos, that we were there. Each of us would have been home alone, eating. They were one of the few people that didn't just go to shul, they lived their shul. They lived their Bible every single day of their lives. And when I went for Pesach, that was the most beautiful seders that I ever had, even when I was a child. I never enjoyed the Sidurim as much as I enjoyed when Gloria led the Seder. There was something so geschmack about the Seder. We laughed, we had fun, but we read everything. Nothing was missed. We read everything. We enjoyed everything. But more than anything, we enjoyed Marion, Saul, and the family. There's no question in my mind that Marion was a gift to all of us. And she will always remain a gift. There are people that do things, that are presidents, that work at things for what it gives them, the pride, and not Marion. She did it, and Saul did it, because they wanted to give back. They always gave back. And Marion will never be forgotten, nor will we ever forget you, Saul. Thank you.
So at this time, we're going to conclude the service here in the chapel, and we'll reassemble at the graveside. You can follow the hearse out front to the graveside. And at this time, I'd ask you to please rise. Amale rachamim shelchein bamromim hametzehi menucha nachona tachach kanfei hashchina b'malo kedoshim utaharim kizhar marakia masirim et nishmat Miriam bat Natan v'Rezel shehocha li'olamam b'gan Eden tehei menuchatam Ana balarachamim hastirecha b'seiter kanafecha li'olamim Utzrohor b'tzorachayim et nishmata Adonai unachlata b'tanot b'shalom mishkavam v'nomahar amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Miriam bat Natan v'Rezel, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, this does conclude the chapel portion of the service. We're now going to head out to the graveside. We're going to take the casket out first. We'll ask the immediate family to follow behind the casket, and if everybody else could follow behind them. I know we have some pallbearers, so I'm going to ask you guys to go on either side of the casket as we walk out. Thank you. So if you're a pallbearer, place your hand on the casket as we walk out. Hold it up, hold it up.